Deep within the forests of Vermont, USA, stood the abandoned Blackwood Palace, a place surrounded by endless rumors and fear. People claimed the mansion was not just haunted, but alive. Those who entered never returned, and those who spoke of it disappeared mysteriously. The air around it always felt heavy, as if something unseen was breathing. One stormy night, journalist Alex Carter arrived determined to uncover the truth behind Daniel Harper's death. Lightning flashed, revealing the broken gates. As he stepped closer, the wind suddenly stopped. An unnatural silence took over, and for a moment it felt like the world had frozen just for him. The gates creaked open on their own as Alex stepped inside. His footsteps echoed unnaturally loud in the empty hall. The walls were covered with faded portraits whose eyes seemed disturbingly alive. He noticed a clock frozen at exactly 11:11. Suddenly it ticked once before going silent again. A whisper brushed past his ear, but no one was there. His flashlight flickered as if reacting to something unseen. Every instinct told him to leave, but curiosity pulled him deeper. The air grew colder with each step, as if he was being welcomed into something ancient. Alex entered a study room filled with scattered papers and old files. Dust rose into the air as if disturbed after years. He found records about Daniel Harper, revealing he had been investigating the same palace. His notes ended abruptly with strange symbols and warnings. Suddenly the door slammed shut with force. Alex rushed to open it, but it wouldn't move. The temperature dropped instantly, and frost began forming on the walls. He could hear faint scratching sounds behind him. Slowly turning, he realized the sound was coming from inside the walls themselves. The scratching grew louder until cracks appeared on the walls. From within those cracks, something dark seemed to move. Shadows stretched unnaturally across the room, forming human-like figures without faces. Alex's flashlight dimmed as the figures began approaching him silently. He backed away until his back hit the wall. The shadows leaned closer, as if trying to merge with him. He closed his eyes in terror, and suddenly everything stopped. When he opened them, the room was empty and silent. But a new door had appeared that had never existed before. With trembling hands, Alex opened the new door, revealing a long corridor lined with mirrors. Each reflection looked slightly delayed, as if not perfectly copying him. As he walked, he noticed one reflection standing still while he moved forward. He froze and slowly looked back, but saw nothing behind him. When he looked again, the reflection smiled while his real face remained still. Panic rose inside him as cracks appeared across the mirror. Suddenly, a blood-covered hand pressed against the glass from inside. The reflection began stepping out of the mirror, dragging itself into reality. Its movements were unnatural and broken. Alex ran, but the corridor seemed endless, twisting around itself. His footsteps echoed behind him even when he stopped. He tripped and fell as his flashlight rolled away. Darkness swallowed him for a moment. When he grabbed the light again, he saw the figure standing impossibly close, its hollow eyes staring directly into him as if reading his thoughts. The figure spoke without moving its lips, asking why he had come. Alex struggled but answered he wanted the truth. The figure's expression twisted into something darker as it said, "Truth demands sacrifice." Suddenly it vanished, leaving behind deep scratch marks on the floor. Alex realized the palace was not showing illusions, but memories of those trapped. The walls seemed to pulse slightly, like a beating heart. He could feel something growing, aware of his presence. Drawn by an unknown force, Alex found stairs leading to the basement. Each step creaked as if warning him. A foul smell filled the air, growing stronger below. The walls were covered in dried blood, and chains hung loosely from hooks. He found an old diary lying in a corner, untouched by time. Opening it, he saw Daniel Harper's handwriting describing horrors beyond imagination. Each page grew darker until the final words read, "It sees everything." As Alex read the last page, the ink began to spread, forming new words you cannot leave. The diary slammed shut by itself as a loud breathing echoed behind him. He turned but saw nothing, yet the sound grew louder, as if something invisible was right next to him. His flashlight flickered, revealing brief glimpses of a tall shadow standing behind him. Every time the light stabilized, it vanished again. His fear turned into desperation. He rushed back upstairs, but the palace had changed completely. The walls were now covered in moving symbols, shifting like living creatures. Doors appeared and disappeared without warning. He opened one and stepped into a dimly lit room where someone sat in a chair facing away. The air felt suffocating as the figure slowly turned around, revealing Daniel Harper's pale, lifeless face. Daniel smiled faintly, but his eyes were completely black. Alex whispered, "You are dead," but Daniel replied, "Death is only the beginning here." His voice echoed unnaturally from every direction. The door slammed shut, trapping Alex inside. Daniel stood up and moved closer, saying, "You were chosen the moment you entered." Alex asked chosen for what, and Daniel answered to replace. Daniel revealed the palace was bound to an ancient entity trapped beneath it. It needed souls to remain alive, feeding on fear and despair. Every person who entered became part of its endless existence. Alex demanded a way out, but Daniel warned escape required breaking the source. Suddenly the ground trembled violently as a deep roar echoed from below. Cracks spread across the floor, releasing thick black mist. Faces formed within it, screaming silently. The walls began bleeding dark liquid as whispers filled the room. Alex tried to run, but the mist wrapped around his legs, pulling him down. He struggled desperately, feeling countless hands grabbing him. Summoning all his strength, he broke free and ran toward the exit. Outside the room, the palace had become a shifting maze. Hallways twisted and reformed with every step. Doors led to the same place, repeatedly trapping him in loops. Distant laughter echoed, confusing his sense of direction. He saw a faint light ahead and chased it, hoping for escape. But no matter how fast he ran, it stayed out of reach. Exhausted, he heard a voice whisper, "Accept the truth." A mirror appeared before him, showing a version of himself with dark, hollow eyes. The reflection spoke, saying, "You belong here now." Alex refused, stepping back, but the reflection reached out from the mirror. Cracks spread as it tried to pull him in. He smashed it with his flashlight, breaking the illusion. The path ahead opened into a grand hall where an ancient grave stood glowing faintly. Dark energy swirled around it, creating distorted shapes. Alex felt an overwhelming presence watching him. Daniel's voice echoed, telling him this was the heart of the curse. The whispers grew louder, forming words begging and warning at the same time. Alex approached the grave, feeling intense pressure in his chest. As he touched it, a surge of energy threw him back. Visions flooded his mind, showing countless victims trapped, screaming endlessly. Their faces twisted in agony as they were consumed. He realized the entity fed on fear to grow stronger. Determined, he stood again and tried to open the grave. The palace shook violently, resisting his actions. Shadows gathered, forming monstrous shapes, attacking him. He fought through them, pushing harder. The ground cracked beneath him as the grave slowly began to move. A deafening scream erupted as the grave opened slightly. A dark hand emerged, reaching toward him. Its touch burned his skin, freezing him at the same time. Alex screamed but held his ground, refusing to let go. The entity began to rise, forming a massive shadow with burning eyes. Its voice echoed inside his mind, saying, "You are mine." Alex felt his strength fading as the entity tried to pull him into darkness. Memories of his life flashed before him. In a final attempt, he grabbed an ancient sword lying nearby. Gathering every ounce of courage, he struck the shadow. A blinding light exploded, pushing the entity back. Its scream shook the entire palace. The entity weakened but not defeated. It split into multiple shadows surrounding him, each whispering different fears. Alex realized it was attacking his mind. He closed his eyes, focusing only on reality, and struck again. The light grew stronger, burning the shadows away one by one. The entity shrieked as it began collapsing into itself. The grave cracked further, releasing intense energy. With one final strike, Alex shattered the core of the entity. A massive explosion of light filled the hall. The palace trembled violently as everything began collapsing. Silence followed as the darkness faded completely. Alex lay on the ground, breathing heavily. Sunlight broke through the broken ceiling, illuminating the ruins. He slowly walked out of the palace, which now appeared lifeless and empty. The oppressive feeling had vanished. He believed he had ended the curse. Days later, Alex published his report, revealing everything. People were shocked, but some doubted his story. He tried to move on, but nightmares haunted him every night. One night he woke up hearing whispers in his room. The same cold presence filled the air. His lights flickered as shadows formed on the walls. He realized in horror that something had followed him. The entity was not destroyed but attached to him, feeding silently, waiting for the right moment. As darkness consumed the room, a voice whispered, "You never left." Alex screamed as his reflection in the mirror smiled back with hollow eyes. The next morning he vanished without a trace, and faraway Blackwood Palace stood again, untouched, waiting for the next visitor.